Hello and welcome back to another episode of the White Sox March to October. Today we're starting the second half of the season. Although, come to think of it, the game hasn't popped up telling me that it's the end of the first half yet. But we just did the draft, we just passed the All-Star break, so to me that means second half. And the hope is, after just doing the draft in the last episode, is that we get far enough along in this one today that we get to see the full results of the draft. But at the risk of not being focused and taking too long, I did have a couple of things that I wanted to tell you guys about before we hop into our first game today against the Dodgers. The first one is a change I actually made before last episode and I just forgot to bring it up. After the Savali trade, I was looking through our roster and that led me to change our players to shop screen here and add a name to that list. And that name is Michael Kopech. My reasoning for this is we just can't seem to get it figured out with him. I still think it's that low stamina, even though it's not like ridiculously low, but I guess 68 is just a little bit too low for him to be a starting pitcher effectively. And yeah, this season he's struggling, man. He's got a 5.24 ERA, even though if we scroll all the way over to his FIP, it's only at a 4.08. So like basically that means based on what he's doing himself, he should be pitching better than what it shows here. It's just my theory, and this theory goes back to the last couple years on White Sox March to Octobers, and it's just that he probably has a really good like first 4 innings of the game, but then the stamina starts catching up with him, and since he started out so well, the CPU manager leaves him in probably longer than he should, and that's when he gives up his run. So I'm kind of tired of having to think about what to do about Kopech. He's only under contract for the rest of this season anyway, and I wasn't planning on re-signing him, so I figure with our overabundance of starting pitchers now, I may as well throw him on here with a couple of weeks before the trade deadline and see if a trade happens to pop up involving him, because if we can get anything for him, no matter what we get, it's probably going to be a positive. But speaking of having an overabundance of starting pitching, I was just looking through some stats like I usually do in between episodes, and Aaron Savali, I happen to notice, he is on kind of a tear since we made the trade. So I was looking back at his stats before we traded for him. He's made 3 starts since we acquired him. He's gone 3-0 in those starts. He started at 3-9 record. Now he's at a 6-9. He's thrown 25 2/3 innings in those starts. So over the course of 3 outings, he's only left an inning and a third to the bullpen. He's brought his ERA down from a 5.09 to a 4.48. His strikeouts have jumped from 59 up to 90, and he's only walked 1 more batter. So yeah, I think definitely so far this trade is working out for us, which is just an even bigger positive, because when I made the trade, it wasn't even so much about what we were getting, it was more about what I was able to get rid of. But the one last thing that I wanted to bring up before we start our game today was the fact that Dylan Cease is having by far and away the most impressive strikeout season I've ever seen in a March to October. I discussed in length in the stat recap episode after season 1 how it just seems like for starting pitchers, it's just like a really old school basis that every game is simulated on. Like we see insanely high inning counts, but compared to real life, the strikeout counts are usually pretty low. And like I considered last year for Dylan Cease kind of breaking that mold, striking out 19 more batters than innings pitched, and that was a 9.73 Ks per 9. Look at what he's doing this year, a 12.27 strikeouts per 9 with his 195 Ks and 143 innings. This is literally something I've never seen before. But all right, I think it's finally time to hop into our game today. We have a 3-2 lead to protect over the Dodgers, one of the top teams in the NL, and we've only got 2 innings left that we need to cover here, and I think I saw that Clay Holmes was out on the mound already, so that's probably who I'd want in this spot. And there we go, freezing him for the first out of this outing. 5 to go, that's all we need. And that one's right to Duran at second. This could be a bit of a World Series preview if we make it back there again. We didn't face the Dodgers in year 1, but regardless of what league you're in, you can't really go through a March to October without coming across the Dodgers in the playoffs. And there we go. A nice quick 1-2-3 inning for Clay Holmes to keep it where it's at. All right, we've got Eloy up with a homer already today, but what I'm interested in is Dustin May is a relief pitcher. He's actually a primary relief pitcher, like that's his position. Never would have known that, but all right, this is a tough arm to face. And yep, I'm making it out on the first pitch. Timing was there. I saw it pretty well. It's just, that was a small PCI. Flat. Oh, nope. I just missed that one. It is high hits per 9 combined with a lot of break on Dustin May's pitches. That makes him really tough to hit. Even though I've seen the pitches pretty well to time him up both times, it's just not easy to get the PCI on the ball here. It's same thing on that one. Ooh, that one might stay fair, though. All right. I guess the worse timing, the better. Oh, and I tried to check swing there, but it gave me a full swing. So we're not going to be adding anything on here. 1-run lead we got to protect. And you know what? I'm just going to play the matchups a little bit before we bring in Crochet, because Chris Taylor's got a lot of power against lefties, and I don't want to deal with that. There we go. Clay Holmes is dominant, man. All right, and now we go to Crochet to pick up the final 2 outs for the save. And that's not cool. Oh, he didn't get there. That could be 2, though, with Vaughn at third. This is the last game of the messed up lineups after the Savali trade. I fixed it, but Vaughn comes through for us with the double play, and there we go. Nice little game with nothing happening where all we needed to do was hang on to the lead. All right, I'm pretty sure we ended off last episode at neutrals, so only 2 fireballs isn't going to give us the best fireball here for the next set of simulated games. But I know we're going to be getting back into our prospect signing screen, and I already handled this, so we don't need to worry about that. And we pick up a win in game 2, and yep, back to signing our prospects. All right, so let's try and sign Wayland Merrifield again. I'm fine giving him a little bit of a bump. We'll bump it up 1, and there we go. He decides to sign this time. Chris Roca next. I'll do the same thing, bump it up by 1, and he'll also sign. So that means our only guy left to sign is our second pick of the draft, Jimmy Hernandez, that we got in that extra bonus round. And we only had him scouted at 30% when I drafted him, so he got that extra 10%. And from what I can tell, he looks pretty much just as good as he did before. I think I'm going to leave this, though. I'm not going to go ahead and sign him yet. I know it's not like that big of a deal. Like, we'd have plenty of money to sign him, but I don't know, man. If I scout him, I think we should be able to get him full because we have 12 days and it sims 2-day chunks at a time. I'll probably end up signing him anyway. There's not really much of a reason to do it, but let's move on for today. Well, okay, yeah, we're right back to it. And actually, that extra 10% makes him look even better because that upper end of the potential stayed at 96. The lower end jumped up to 72. And you know what? Yeah, like I said, I'm probably going to end up signing him anyway, so I'm just going to offer him. It's not like I can lower the offer really any more than it already is. So I'll just offer him this one and see if he takes it, and if not, nope, he's taking it. All right, so that'll be it then for our signing period, so that won't pop up again. Next, we'll see if those guys is when we see what their actual ratings are. But before then, we've got to play against Cleveland. So what do we have here? This is like the opposite of last game, except this time it's bottom 9. We have 1 shot and 1 shot only to make this comeback. I'm seeing, though, for the first time here that our projected wins have jumped up to 100. You know, our division's looking pretty locked up, but we're still in a battle for at least the 2nd seed in the league. Because even if we win our division, if we finish with the worst record of the 3 division winners here, we'd have to play in the wild card round, and we don't want to do that. So each game is still just as important. We got to make this comeback here against Clase with Vaughn. Usually, I'm pretty arrogant when I face Emmanuel Clase on this game. So hopefully, I can hit him just as well as I usually do, and we can go ahead and complete this comeback. Maybe it'll take Vaughn 1 swing. Oh, and that was it. That was the pitch I'm looking for. Doesn't look like it. I was way out in front, and I was up here. Okay, that's not going to drop in. That was a really nice swing for that to not even move the runner up. And is that going to do the same thing? Okay. No, he dove and missed it. That was so close to being identical to what just happened with Vaughn. Look at that, man. 2 good swings on these pitches. I should have more to show for it. I should have that tying run across already. Man, Montgomery has another home run in this game. He had a home run in the game we just played against the Dodgers, too. Oh, no, and I was just under that. Oh, that is the winning pitch right there. That is, wow. Does it really all come down to Samad Taylor here? No. Who else do we have? All right, well, we'll worry about the defensive alignment if we can actually make this game continue, but we're going Dom Fletcher off the bench. That's a rough way to start the AB. What's that doing? What's that doing? Oh, another botch diving play. All right, dude, if he would have made that catch, I couldn't even think of how upset I'd be. But Fletcher comes through. We've tied it. Now let's just pick up one more good swing here and finish this one. They're not even sticking with Clase. They know. I will not let Emmanuel Clase pick up a save against me if I can help it. Let's get Yoelqui Cespedes a walk-off. Oh, that's brutal. Now we gotta go to extras, and I have to figure out how the defense is gonna work after the pinch hitter. Oh, okay, actually, you know what? No, this is easy, because Hampson was starting also. Hampson can just move into the infield, and Fletcher moves to the outfield. Perfect. Ooh, and as much as I'd love to keep pitching with Tukey, that extra innings base runner means it's the clutch rating active, and that's like the one weakness on Tukey. Look at that, 39. So you know what? He was already warming up. We won't have a save situation today. Let's go to Crochet. Look at him. He's got that ERA down to 245. That's pretty impressive considering how rough of a start he had. Oh yeah, and Crochet's got his good stuff today. We're keeping that runner at second. Is he running for third? Throw him out, Garver. You're not gonna swipe third in extra innings against me. And Vlad, yeah, you got that. 3 outs and only 2 batters faced for Crochet. Now it's time to win it. And you know what? Hampson at the plate is kind of like the perfect guy to drop down a bunt and move Cespedes over to third. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Just get it down fair, though. Hampson, don't you have like 99 bunting? 96. There we go. That's going to do the job. Perfectly executed bunt. Now all we need is a fly ball, and this one's over. I don't know why they wouldn't walk Vlad here. Like, that doesn't make much sense to me. That's gonna do it. Little under that, but I was trying to be, and that's all we need. 62 speed is plenty, and there's a walk-off come from behind win. Man, it almost feels easy. Like, I came into this one against, even though it's a closer I have a good time against, he's one of the best closers in the game. We only had 3 outs to work with, and it was just kind of like, okay, we're just going to casually make this comeback and win the game. I am really feeling good with this White Sox team here in year 2. And that's going to get us 4 fireballs and an extra one for the extra inning walk-off. And we're definitely coming up here on the trade deadline, so we might see a trade pop up in this set of simmed games here. But yeah, we got a big fireball here. We should be able to sweep, or that's not a sweep. We didn't even win the series. That was split 2-2. Facing the Mets now. That was a short sim when I'm trying to actually get through a chunk of games today. All right, but it's a short game too. We have a 7-5 lead, and it's bottom 9 for the Mets with 2 outs. They do have 2 on, but all we need to pick up is 1 out, and this game's over. So let's not waste any time. Let's get into it. Crochet on the mound again. He's allowed a run though. I do want to see though, with 7 runs on the board, what have we done to do that? Only the 1 home run, it was from Luis Robert. We got Vlad with 3 hits. Seems like just a lot of base runners, a lot of walks too, so that'll do it. And then Dylan Cease with 7 innings, 9 punch outs. And then yeah, we got to finish this one out with Crochet. This is one of his more rough outings, it seems. There we go. Didn't even want that to stay in the zone, but he didn't have a chance anyway. 30th save of the season for Crochet, it said also. I think last year he won reliever of the year and he only got like 36 or something. All right, so we move on and we add a fireball back without having to spend one on a win, which is nice. And we are definitely coming up here on both the deadline and our draft results, and we do get 1 more trade. I didn't think it was going to happen. They really simmed us until the last day. So I already know I'm not going to accept this one. We already have way too many starting pitchers, and I don't want to get rid of Jody Deal. Like, this is somebody that I'm really excited for, and he's somebody that I plan on hanging on to. And I know there seems to be somebody like that in every trade, but there's only 4 spots to protect and say they're untouchable. And, you know, there's more than 4 players that I feel that about. So what about the Mets? Are they going to give me a more productive trade offer? They are. This is somebody on my list. They're actually offering me a prospect, and he's somebody on my list of targeting players. And I'm thinking this looks like a good trade to me. I know it's, you know, giving up 3 players for just 1, and in terms of overall, they're all pretty similar. But obviously, B potential on Colin Houck. He's also only 20 years old. And what we're giving up isn't really anything that I value. The only one would be I would have kind of liked to see what Kai Bush could have done if we ever got a chance to fast track him, but he's still not even on the 40-man roster, so we wouldn't have that chance to fast track him until at least next year, and then he's 26 years old, and But especially when I was wanting to go after that second baseman in the draft and we didn't get him, and now we have a chance to add a young second baseman for 20 years old to have an overall already of 68. That's a really nice foundation. So yeah, unless the Nationals trade is better, I'm thinking I'm going to make this trade. So what are the Nationals offering then? Lane Thomas? I mean, for what it would take, this is actually a little bit intriguing at least. It is a rental. We'd only have him for the rest of this season, but an 86 overall, having a pretty nice season. He's really good against lefties, which right now, after trading away Moncada, we do have Dominic Fletcher in the starting lineup against lefty pitchers, and obviously his numbers aren't looking that great against lefties, although his numbers overall are still really good. And I did look into it. You can see splits in terms of like batting average against righties and lefties, and Dominic Fletcher did have an over 300 batting average against lefties, which is probably why his attribute is going up as much as it is. But still, with where his attributes are at, you know, in a situation where I'm hitting with him, that's not a very comfortable AB lefty. I guess also I was about to say that I was going to write off this trade because I don't think Dominic Fletcher is really struggling all that much against lefties, so it doesn't feel important to take him out of the starting lineup. But there's also Benintendi. He's also a lefty-lefty matchup. It's a shame you can't go in and check the splits from this screen, but his power is going down against lefties. His contact's only going up 1. His overall numbers aren't quite as good as they have been, and he's rough in the field. So like Lane Thomas as a Benintendi replacement, that's also something to think about. Man, I wish this trade wasn't so intriguing, and I wish it wasn't so different from this Mets one, because I was really looking forward to making this trade, but now I just don't know. Okay, you know what? I've made my choice. I'm not going to trade for Lane Thomas, and it pretty much all comes down to this. I already feel pretty confident in the team we're putting on the field to be good enough to make another run at a World Series title, and I don't think Lane Thomas, while he would be good, I don't think he's that much of a needle mover because we don't really have a needle that needs to be moved right now. So I think with the options we're presented, it makes more sense to go after Colin Houck, make our future look a little bit better, because, you know, you don't know what's going to happen in the off seasons going forward or with the progression of players and all that sorts of stuff. So it might be better to get somebody that would make me confident in the future in my team rather than somebody who, like I said, isn't really going to move the needle. So yeah, Colin Houck is the trade here. I don't exactly know what's going to happen with him. I mean, he is a high enough overall that like they could put him on our MLB squad over Samad Taylor. He is on the 40-man, so like that's also a reason why that could happen. But I don't know. We'll let the game figure it out. But I'm making this trade. We're actually trading for a prospect, and we don't even have to give up like a big name, which I find crazy. We're essentially trading 2 prospects, 3 minor leaguers at a whole for just another prospect. So let's do it here, man. Adding a new second baseman for the future, and there he is. Looks good in the White Sox uniform there. We'll see him again in it in hopefully the next couple of seasons. Ooh, and they're actually giving me, okay, so he is on the major league squad. Kind of wasn't wanting that to happen. I was kind of hoping he would camp out down in the minors. He could get some more progression, and then at some point in the future or later this season, who knows, we'd get that fast track with him or a call up and get a chance to improve his attributes, but I guess he's just up here now. I mean, it does work. He takes the spot of Samad Taylor on the bench, so that's technically a 2 overall upgrade. But I don't know, maybe if we get like a Brian Ramos call up or something over the course of the rest of the year, this would be the guy we send down for that. But let's go here. Let's hop into it. A hitter player lock that's not taking place at the beginning of an episode. This should go well, right? I mean, even though this player lock shouldn't be to improve his attributes, it's just for that performance boost. So it doesn't matter like a ton that we succeed. It'd still be nice to succeed, because then at least he'd be, you know, a little bit better in the games and at bats he does play, which could help his development. Ooh, and we're already loading in. I'm in the field, but we've got a 2-0 deficit to overcome here in the second inning in a Savali start. And we can't even make the play to turn 2. Come on, Montgomery, what's with that throw? All right, we're coming up for our first AB. Somehow kept them off the board after having 2 on and nobody out, and we have a run of our own. Let's see what we can do. Actually, hang on here. Is this his MLB debut? Because it definitely could be. Oh, yeah, it is. I also, come to think of it, I don't even know if this is a real player. There's definitely a chance that he could have been somebody that was drafted back in year 1. Maybe I should look into that. Okay. You can't be doing that. God, dude, I get beat on that type of pitch so often, but the CPU, they just always seem to spot it up there. Oh my God, now I'm making errors? What am I supposed to do about that? I mean, he has good fielding too. He had like 73 fielding. Why is he making errors on a ball hit right to him in his debut? I guess he's just nervous. All right, well, in between at bats, I did look into the matter, and I can confirm that Colin Houck is a real person. Now we just have to make up for that error. Oh, a perfect! Okay, look at Colin Houck going the other way. First MLB hit is 98 off the bat. I liked how that swing felt. I've kind of liked his swing even going back to the first at bat. So that's a good sign, even if he's somebody that I hopefully won't use that much until a couple years down the line. If we know that about him, if we know that he has a good swing, you know, that makes me feel even better about progressing him through the system in the years to come. All right, we get another shot here. Bases loaded this time. Lorenzen's still out there. We can make a difference in this game. Oh, and I did it. I got under it enough at the bottom of the zone. We're driving in the tying run. 2 hits in the debut for Colin Houck. That should solidify at least a 1+ to that performance boost. And it looks like we're not going to be able to pick up that go-ahead run here. Winning the game, obviously important. We're up in the big leagues here, and the Jays are a rival division winning team that we would like to chase down. All right, we get another shot here. Now we have a 5-3 lead, and we're facing a lefty this time. Oh, no way. He did not just give me just a fastball right down the pipe, and I missed it on a 3-2 count. I'd love to know what my swing looked like on that one to see where I moved the PCI when I didn't have to move it at all. Looks like they're giving me a 2+ though for the 2 hits. So it's nice to succeed in one like that. It's just, you know, why can't I succeed when there's a boost on the line with hitters? All right, so there it is. They didn't lie to me. Officially a 2+ boost plus 1 more fireball of momentum. And we're past the trade deadline, and it's time to look at our draft picks. All right, so let's just peel the band-aid off. I'm looking at them all. The potentials, they all looked solid. I mean, no crazy high potentials here like Johnny Castro and Jimmy Hernandez, both in the 80s, instead of hitting at the absolute upper end of their ranges. That's pretty much right in the middle for both of them. But Johnny Castro, he's starting at a 66 overall, which isn't too bad of a starting point. He's got the good stamina. The home runs per 9 is definitely rough. That's definitely going to need to be something that gets raised up. But the good walks per 9 looks good. I don't really know how you have a good walks per 9 and low control, so I don't know what that's actually going to do for him, but he looks solid enough to me. All right, now Jimmy Hernandez. I'm curious to see what his starting overall is going to be. 59. Okay, that's a little bit lower than I would have liked to see, but he's got a solid base here at least. 71 fielding to start's nice. He's got good enough speed for a third baseman. Already 64 power against lefties. Definitely going to need to see that arm get a little bit better to play third base. But other than that, not too bad. And he's got a lot of time to get where he needs to be, only being 18 years old. Now our third pick, Angelo Ayala. This one definitely looks unfortunate here with that potential at 77. I didn't really, I was just kind of looking at the potentials and not really how it matched up to what our scouting says they could have been. And Ayala definitely seems like a miss. The lowest he could have been was a 76, and he ends up at a 77. I was pretty confident when I drafted him that he'd have to have a potential in the 80s, and I guess that's just not what it ended up being. But still starting at a 58 overall, he's got 20 overall to work with until he hits that potential, and the contact's already looking pretty good for being a 58 overall. So if he can build on that and just kind of be a speedy contact guy, there's definitely room for that. You know, you'd like to see the fielding be a little bit better on a speedy contact guy, but there's definitely something there even with only a C potential. And then we got our 4 pitchers from here on out that, if I remember right, every single one of them was unranked in the across the MLB ranking thing during the draft. So Waylon Merrifield first with a 79 potential, starting at a 59 overall. Another guy though whose stamina is way up there. I really like his pitch mix. It's kind of basic, but it's 5 pitches. He's got the sinker and the slider. Good enough speed differentials too, I'd say. And he's right on the cusp of that 80 potential to bump him up to a B. So that definitely could happen if he plays well enough. Now our next dude here, Charles Forrest. Oh, he's starting at a 68 overall. See, I don't remember, and it doesn't show me here what our scouting said their starting overall could be, but I didn't remember Charles Forrest being somebody who could start out this high. So 68 starting is good to work with. You know, he's only got that 75 potential, so he doesn't have a lot of room to grow. But my thinking is you never know. You know, if he's a 68 overall down in like AA, I would think at least that's better than most of the competition. He might be able to dominate in the minors, and that could lead to the potential increasing. Plus, also, you never know if he can get a fast track down the line, which would increase the potential. And I seem to remember this was one dude whose stamina was a bit of a question, so 77, that'll definitely work for what we want to see. All right, now Chris Roca, I do remember was somebody who is supposed to have a pretty high starting overall. Like his window for potential and overall was pretty much the same. So his potential's a 74. What's his starting overall going to be? 73. So again, kind of the same thing as Charles Forrest here. If he's pitching down in AA as a 73 overall, he might be good enough to dominate and his potential goes up. His stamina is also an 82, which is nice. The hits and Ks per 9 being low and the clutch being low, that's not the per 9s you'd want to see being low. But the walks per 9 being high means he shouldn't be giving up as many base runners. The home runs per 9 obviously means he shouldn't be giving up as many home runs. 73 overall to start with as a 19-year-old. Even if the potential's not great, that's not a bad pick that far down. And then our last pick being Joel Rosales, 84 potential on Mr. Irrelevant of the draft here. The final pick, not just our final pick. 21 years old to start, and he's going to be starting at a 63. Look at this, our last pick of the draft. Not a bad pick at all. And I do remember the stamina was a question for him. 72, you know, it's close to that lower end of what you'd want to see. So hopefully that doesn't regress like at all, which I have seen. So all right, I mean, I wouldn't say our draft picks really blow me away here, but in terms of being a solid draft up and down all the way through, I think it was exactly that. I think the only one I'm really disappointed in at all is Angelo Ayala, and he's still somebody with 96 speed. And all right, before we look at the rest of the league, I do kind of like to go in depth and look at what our division rivals did. So let's just take a glance at that first before I go through everybody else. And purely looking at the potentials, it doesn't look like Cleveland had all that great of a draft. Although this dude, to have 94 fielding and 93 reaction to start with good contact, I mean, for a #1 pick, that's not all that great, but I don't know, that's not terrible either. All right, and then just glancing through the rest of them, yeah, none of them look good at all. So I'm feeling better about my draft after seeing this one. How about the Tigers? They had the #1 pick, and this dude doesn't look all that great to me. Only 84 potential. I mean, 75 power to start and build from there is not bad. Also, definitely a weird build for his bunting rating to be his highest attribute, but his drag bunting is his lowest one. And then quick looking through the rest of them, they didn't even sign 2 of their picks, and none of the guys they did sign look like they're any good. So I'd say we beat 2 teams now in the division when it comes to the draft. What about the Royals? They also had a top pick. I think it was the 3 pick, and it looks like that pick did hit, which it should have. This was the consensus #1 pick in the draft, and he slipped to 3, and he has a 95 potential, 73 starting overall, lefty with 5 pitches. Yeah, this dude, he could definitely be a problem. They did pick another guy here with 94 potential, but he's got a pretty low starting overall. He is only 19 though, so he's got time to get there. But outside of, well, actually, okay, I shouldn't say that, because this dude Bobby Carter, their final pick, to start with 75, 79 contact. I guess he's a 66 overall with 66 potential, so he's like not going to get any better. But you could throw a bat like this on the major league squad as is, and he'd probably have pretty solid numbers. I don't know though, this one's a little close to call for me to say that our draft was better, because they definitely did get this guy who's going to be a difference maker. But then the final team is the Twins. Did they get anybody good? Their #1 pick does not look good at all. Do any of their picks look good? This one, maybe D. Oh, this is our guy. I wasn't even looking at the names. I was just looking at the overalls and the potentials. And yeah, I mean, that's a nice spot to start from. Even if the potential's a little low at a 77, you're starting with 7269 power and that kind of speed. Yeah, he would have been nice. Not as good as I initially thought he looked. Definitely jumped the gun on the Acuna comparison. And then they did have one more high potential, but yeah, he's only a 47 overall to start. All right, well, I'm going to go through the rest of the league here, and I'll hop back in to point out anything interesting if there's anything interesting. Wow, okay, this is interesting to me. The Braves didn't even sign their top 2 picks. I wish you can't click on their player card from here. I wish I was able to see, you know, how good they were. Ooh, but okay, they didn't sign their top guys, but they hit on this pick in, what would it be, the 4th round? They found a second baseman here with 98 potential at 18 years old and a 62 starting overall with that contact. I mean, this is another dude, even all the way down at a 62. You've got 71, 68 contact with good vision, discipline, and clutch, and fielding that'll definitely play. Who cares about an arm at second base? I mean, man, so far to me, this is pick of the draft when you factor in when they got him. I just wish I knew about the guy. I figure I'd just show it off since they were our World Series opponent and the team 1 pick ahead of us in each round of the draft. But the Cubs, man, they had a terrible draft. I guess it might also be worth pointing out that when I took our guy Jimmy Hernandez, this dude was also on my radar. Like, I was kind of going back and forth between the two, even though it was probably more like 80-20 in favor of Hernandez. And I'd say it looks like the right decision. Hernandez, higher starting overall, only 1 higher potential, but still better. And really the only thing we have left here of note is this is our guy, Andres Pinto. He's who I wanted in the 1st round, and he almost fell all the way down, but the Yankees picked him, I think 3 picks ahead of me, and he would have been good. 93 potential with a 69 starting overall. Great contact to start with. Really nice vision and clutch, solid discipline, solid enough speed. Obviously the fielding would need work, but with this much of a foundation and that much room to grow, you don't worry about 49 fielding to start. This definitely hurts a little bit more that he couldn't just fall down a couple more picks, because legitimately looking through everything so far, there have not been all that many good draft picks. Like, you got the guy that the Royals took, the guy that the Braves took in like the 4th round, and Andres Pinto. Those are really the only ones that to me have looked like they're going to be really good. And yep, that finishes it. So yeah, not a really high caliber draft all across the league. Like, there wasn't really that many. It was legitimately, according to our board, the number 1 and the number 2 picks. Those were like the best 2 picks, and then the Braves found some diamond in the rough. We had a solid draft, which I feel even better about knowing what all the other teams did. So yeah, that is the year 2 draft in the books. Pick up another win against Toronto, and we get to finish off the series, which actually I'm confused now because I thought that first game on August 1st that it's saying was a loss. I thought that was the player lock, and we definitely won in that game, but I don't know. All I know is we got to beat them in this one. But that's going to bring this episode to a close. We've got about 50 games left in the season. No draft, no scouting, no signing, no trades to get in the way of the rest of it. So it'll probably be a pretty quick shot to the end, and then it's playoff time again. But as always, guys, make sure if you enjoyed this one, do me a favor and hit that like button, and make sure that you're subscribed to the channel if you've been keeping up with the series. But thanks for watching again today, guys. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you next time.